Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machon Le'Ra Online Smicha. With the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashana being the new year, the Rosh Hashana, and of course there's many halachas that are connected specifically with Rosh Hashana and mitzvahs hayom b'shofar. Every few years it comes a new dimension, a new issue that comes up, a new halacha that comes up, which is a tremendous chiddush. And upcoming year, one of the days of Rosh Hashanah is actually on Shabbos. There's the famous Gzeira of the Rabbah. The Rabbah said that even though there was a mitzvah in Torah to blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah, because we're afraid of Shema Yavirenu Dal Lamis B'Sur Sarabim, maybe the simpleton won't know exactly how to fulfill the mitzvah, so he will carry the shofar to go to a baki to make sure that they teach him, or he does it properly. Carrying a Rosh Hashanah is a chashash that he might do. Because of that chashash, they uprooted the mitzvah min Torah. And we know there's so much about this in Nigla, so much about this in the Chassidus explaining, and the Rebbe actually, one of the sichos says that it's almost impossible to grasp this, to understand this properly, unless you take the Chassidic interpretation that when Shabbos, when Rosh Hashanah falls out in Shabbos, you don't need the hamshachas of shofar, because halachically it's very problematic, very hard to understand how a gzeira could overrule a clear mitzvah min Torah. Fine, we all know that. But there is a very big chiddush that Rabbi Akiva Eger writes in Drush v'Chiddush Marecha Ches. He says a chiddush like this: if it happens to be Rosh Hashanah is on Shabbos, and maybe somebody didn't know this halacha, and he blew shofar on Rosh Hashanah shecholius for Shabbos, so he's taka over a isser of shvus to shvus, a rabbinic isser, but the mitzvah, since min ha-Torah, the Torah would have allowed, or the Torah didn't exempt you from blowing shofar on the Shabbos. So because min ha-Torah there is a mitzvah, he fulfilled the mitzvah of shofar. Well, the Ma'inav Kamina, the Poil, the Chachamim, if he did it, the Chachamim didn't want you to do it. The Ma'inav Kamina, if you consider it done. So it says in Svarim, because, for example, if the first day was Shabbos and now you're blowing the second day, if the first day what you did didn't count, then the second day, which is the only day you're supposed to blow shofar, you say Shechiyanu, because it's the first and only time you did it. But if La'acher Kechlois Anal, that you made a mistake, or you didn't know the Chachamim prohibited it, you blew shofar on Shabbos, it's counted as a mitzvah. Then tomorrow on Sunday, when you're blowing the shofar for real, you can't say Shechiyonu already, because you did it the first time. You did it, you were Yoitza. This is a very big chiddush that Rabbi Akiva Eger says, because many achreinim have a shaila on this, and the shaila they basically ask is, since the Chachamim made a gzeira that you're not allowed to blow the shofar, and this mitzvah is psula midrabanan, does that not mean that the Chachamim said that anything you do with the shofar on Shabbos is partial? It's possible. In other words, they will mevatel the etzem mitzvah. Similarly, till we find a Gemara in Sukkah, Taisva says in the beginning of Masechta Sukkah, Daf Gimel Amid Aleph, Taisva says that any sukkah which is pasul midrabanan, it's not a kosher sukkah midrabanan. If somebody sits there, he didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Even though it's obviously a slightly different, because over here they actually uprooted what the Torah says you should do, and over there they're just saying that this is not a qualifying sukkah. Still, but we see the powers the Chachamim have is if they say no, whatever you did didn't count. So why over here the Rabbi Akiva Eger felt that if a person blows shofar Rosh Hashanah shecholius b'Shabbos, there is still a mitzvah. And there's another raya, a shocking raya. The first Mishnah in Bracha says that Chazal were in Sakin that even though Kriya Shema could be read, the night Kriya Shema could be read all night, nevertheless, only say it till Chatzos. Don't wait all the way to Aleisa Shachar. Rabbeinu Yoina says, not only you shouldn't because it's not good, after Chatzos, Ein Chayiv Likreish Shema. In other words, that's the powers that the Chachamim have. Another example, we know that lulav also we don't do on Shabbos because you're going to possibly carry it to the Reshus Harabim. Excuse me, many poskim say that today's days there is no Reshus Harabim anyways. So let's zero in. All the Achrayim, many Achrayim ask Rabbi Kiva Eger, how could Rabbi Kiva Eger say that once, even though the Chachamim made that on Shabbos you don't blow the shofar, nevertheless, Rabbi Kiva Eger holds if somebody did blow the shofar on Shabbos, he's mekayim the mitzvah. It doesn't go with the flow that we usually have, that the Chachamim have the power to uproot and say that this is not the mitzvah, the way the mitzvah should be done, and you're not mekayim the mitzvah. So these are some of the answers which are discussed. Answer number one is brought in Shiloh Teshuvah Sisa Kodesh, Chelik Aleph Siman Nun Hey. He says it's quite different between the sukkah and tzitzis, different gezeras the Chachamim make, and this gezerah. Over there, when the Chachamim say that this is not a qualifying sukkah, according to them, this is not a qualifying sukkah, then the actual sukkah, you're not sitting in a kosher one. That's the power that they said, that even though Torah, this type of structure would pass, they have the right to say, no, it's not good enough. So you weren't sitting in a kosher sukkah. Over here, it's different. It's two separate issues. The shofar is shofar. They're just worried that you might carry it. You might carry it in Reshus Harabim. So if it wasn't, if you didn't listen to the gezerah and you blew the shofar, at least the shofar you got done. It doesn't uproot the actual mitzvah. Another reason which is given, that usually when the Chachamim make a gezerah and they say this is not good, so if you don't listen to them, the gezerah is usually parallel to the actual mitzvah. Over here, it's two separate issues. The gezerah is about haitzah, carrying Reshus Harabim, and it's similar to the first answer. And this is also brought in Shiloh Teshuvah Minchas Yitzchak, Chelik Tes Siman Kuf Samach Daled. There's another answer that says like this: by sukkah or by kriyas shema, over there the Chachamim, their gezerah was on the etzem kiyum hamitzvah, and the Chachamim said that we don't want you to read the Shema this way. We don't want you to sit in this type of sukkah. So if you do it, it's a mitzvah ba ba'avera. However, if it's a chumrah that comes, if the Chachamim made us chumrah to come and to be moisif on the divrei Torah, and they say on Shabbos you cannot blow shofar, and not only a gzeira on the way it should be done, they just uproot the whole thing. Yeah. So therefore, if somebody was teikeya b'diavad, it would be yoytze. In other words, they say like this: when a person is over an isur the rabban, it's all these three answers are very much the same. The isur is a study, is a side issue. It's not an isur about the actual fulfillment of the mitzvah. So your action of blowing the shofar still should count. And those that add that by shofar, actually, if not for the mitzvah, actually blowing shofar is also a problem, because it is you're not allowed to make sounds on Shabbos. So it's only because of the mitzvah that we allow it to be done. Another answer is, we find that it's not necessarily true throughout the board that on Shabbos you don't blow shofar. V'haraya, in the Beis HaMikdash, you are allowed to blow shofar on Shabbos. So if somebody broke that rule, at least he blowed shofar. And the last answer, which is given by sukkah and tzitzis, the Chachamim did not uproot the whole mitzvah. They only spoke about specifics. This type of sukkah, this type of tzitzis, this type of talis. By shofar, they said nobody, nowhere on Shabbos you blow shofar. So if so, we don't find that the Chachamim have that power. The Chachamim have the power for specifics, not to uproot a mitzvah completely.